My name is Mary Cheney. I am the owner and managing attorney of the law offices of Mary and Cheney, PLLC, better known as the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas, and welcome to the Breach Whisperer blog. In this blog, we will be talking about privacy and cybersecurity issues worldwide. For those of you that are familiar with my written blog, this is an extension of that or replacement for it, depending on my time and my ability to record or write blog posts. So, I mean, if you guys are interested in my previous works, if you can click on the link below, and it'll take you to my law firm website where the blog posts are there. Don't forget, speaking of links, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. So I know you guys are asking me why in the world or would we want to watch anything about cybersecurity and privacy. I mean, it can be highly technical, it can be full of acronyms, it could be legalese, it can be technical terms. And, because I feel like cybersecurity and privacy are not going away. And, I want to be able to share the knowledge that I have. I mean, in this video blog, we will be trying to educate the masses on cybersecurity and privacy. So, and things that you come across on a daily basis that you may not even think about that may affect you going forward. So, we will do this through articles, excerpts of speaking events that I may do, just basically any random things that I come across and find that I'm hitting record on certain things. I think that it's very important. I have a unique perspective. I think, based on my background, I could look at things from the cybersecurity perspective, the privacy perspective, it could be the hacker or the criminal perspective, the law enforcement or investigator perspective. It's so many different things that, are happening in cybersecurity and privacy that you guys may not think about. And being an owner of my own law practice, the things that come across my desk are amazing. So be warned, I may switch hats mid sentence. And, hopefully it's just to get you guys to think about things and in a different way. And please feel free to send me anything that you may find that you think I may find interesting. It may just make the blog. You never know. Caveat here, I'm a public speaker. I don't believe in too many edits. If I mess up, I mess up. So let's get started on your privacy and cybersecurity journey. For those of you who are new to the blog, new to Mary Cheney, and you say, who in the world is this woman on here talking about this boring subject? Let me give you an introduction to my background. My name is Mary Cheney. Like I said, I own my own cybersecurity and privacy law practice in Dallas, Texas. That's why it's affectionately called the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. I have an IT background. My undergraduate degrees in information systems. After undergraduate, I went to law school. It's a fascinating story. You have to look at the other videos on the channel to get the full story. I won't bore you guys with those details right now. But after undergraduate, I went to law school in Houston, Texas. I graduated, took and passed the bar, and went into the FBI. So I was a federal investigator for the FBI, where I investigated cybercrime. I did that for several years. I was able to serve as an information security officer for the FBI in Los Angeles. And then I started my first career as an entrepreneur. And I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was back in Ohio, and I started my own consulting practice. And I was able to run that consulting practice for about 4 years before I ran out of money the first time. And then I went into corporate America. So I started my corporate journey. I spent times as an executive for GE Capital, Johnson and Johnson, as well as Comcast on the operations side. I never did practice law. Once passing the bar and going through the FBI, I started my career in the operations side, right? My corporate career on the operations side. So I was director of incident response for GE Capital. I was the director of the Security Operations Center for Johnson and Johnson, and had a stint with Comcast where I was in the global CISO's office. So much of my career up until a few years ago was on the operations side, security operations side. So left corporate America to start my own law practice. I started my own law practice in 2018, and I only know cybersecurity and privacy. That's the only thing I've ever done. It's the only thing that I love to do. So I started my law practice, and I've been having a lot of fun. I moonlight as an adjunct professor with the University of Cincinnati, where I teach information security, cybersecurity courses. I also own my own nonprofit, where minorities in cybersecurity. You may hear me talk about that as well, where we try to create a leadership community for those that are entering cybersecurity, that are in cybersecurity, that are trying to get promoted in cybersecurity. So we provide a forum for them to map out their careers and move forward in this fascinating field. So I just wanted to take a little time out to give you a little bit of background about me, just in case you were wondering who in the world this woman was. Thanks. Does your organization have written cybersecurity policies and procedures? If not, you may want to take a look at the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas Policy Starter Pack. We may have some things out there that may interest you in your organization. One of the most interesting things that I found out when transitioning from the government to private industry is that a lot of organizations just don't write down what their policies and procedures are. And then when there's some type of incident, they have a hard time proving that they were being reasonable in their approach. So please take a look at our starter pack, and if there's anything we can help you with, let us know. Hey, everybody, welcome to the blog today. So I want to talk to you about an article I came across about Amazon and Ring being sued for about $5 million, a class action lawsuit out of California. I think that's right. But they're being sued, basically saying that their camera systems, the popular Ring camera system, is subjected to, or vulnerable to, cyber attacks. And as I was reading this article, there was several funny things that came across, and I'm gonna switch. These are one of those things where one of these blogs that I'm gonna switch hats and come at it from a different perspectives, just given what's being said in this article. So basically, in December, you had four families in Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and Texas reporting that their Ring camera systems were compromised. And essentially, Ring was reported. They reported it to Ring. There was some craziness about people hacking into the camera system. Watching the children. There were children out playing basketball, and the actual hackers were actually talking to the children through the camera system, talking to them about how bad their basketball was, or something like that. And Ring, of course, and I want to break down this particular statement, and I'll say this, and I'll come back to it. So it says, Ring has not had a data breach. Our security team has investigated these incidents, and we have no evidence of an unauthorized intrusion or compromise of Ring's systems or network. It is not uncommon for bad actors to harvest data from other companies' data breaches and create lists like this so that other bad actors can attempt to gain access to other services. Okay, so credential stuffing. I want to talk about that for a second. Credential stuffing, and that's the argument they're making. They're making the argument that the hackers got the username and password for some other breach. So name a breach, pick a breach where usernames or email addresses and passwords were compromised. It's Ring / Amazon's statement that this is how these cameras in these 4 different states got compromised. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the federal investigator hat for a second here and start talking about what criminals do and the type of criminal that would actually go after a camera and at someone's home, and the type of criminal that will go after an enterprise level like a Yahoo or something like that, username and passwords. So Ring's argument kind of falls apart in as much as you're basically saying bad actors who actually host podcasts and live events where they terrorize occupants for entertainment through their ring systems are the same as someone that would attack a enterprise level like a Yahoo to get username and passwords, and that these individuals actually have purchased username and passwords out of these particular states for these particular people in these particular neighborhoods who have these ring doorbells. Criminals don't really are not really that sophisticated. They have a goal in mind. What kind of sort of makes sense to me, and even given the statement that Ring and Amazon said that their systems weren't compromised, it doesn't mean that the device itself cannot be compromised. And so I can see Ring and slash Amazon argument that weak passwords has led to individuals having their um, systems compromised. If you use the same password over and over and over again, you're susceptible, vulnerabilities, and everything like that. But it makes a lot more sense to me that if the vulnerability exists in the actual device itself, that the criminals are using that vulnerability to attack in the same way. Okay, username and password may not be the only way if the device is hackable. So I don't know. I didn't really get into a lot of detail about the case. I'll keep my eye on the case to see how it works if the class is actually certified and things like that, because it's a potential class action suit. But it just doesn't ring true to me, no pun intended, that that username and passwords are the way that these individuals are hacking into these particular devices. I do not have a Ring device. I have a different doorbell device. However, my devices, my security system, you can guess I'm anal. My security systems are isolated from my network. So basically you have the main network and you have subnets. What different areas of the house, literally in my house, have different IP address ranges. So, and some of them are blocked off by multiple, routers. It in firewalls. It gets crazy. But all that to be said, as a practical application perspective for you as a individual user or a member of the public, don't use the same username and password for your Wi-Fi that you do for your camera. And a lot of those cameras, you can go in and change the password. I went in and changed the password, like I said, but the network that my security devices log into are completely different than, let's say, my kids, the way they log into or they watch Netflix. It's just, I just isolate them, so when there's a problem, I understand where that problem is and I can able to attack that problem again. And if they compromise one, they're going to have to go through more hoops to get to the rest of the house, so to speak. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, the credential stuffing thing is just not ringing true to me. The IoT devices themselves are often subjected to vulnerabilities, or that earlier models may have that later models do not. That it's very hard to quote unquote patch an IoT device, IoT Internet of Things, which would be what a Ring doorbell would be. So it'll be interesting to watch, interesting to look out. If you guys have any comments, please, by all means, if you have any more information, please let me know, bring it to my attention. Thanks again, and have a great day. Okay. Random thought. As I was listening to what I was talked about previously in this blog post, it rang true again about default passwords. Okay, so every device out there, whether it's your router or it's your Ring doorbell or it's your washing machine, has a username and password default, usually password, admin, something of that nature. That is the only way that I would see multiple cameras being compromised at the same time if the homeowner did not change that password. Because instead of individual credential stuffing type of attack, if the default password is used, that's easily compromised. If you haven't gone in to your devices and changed the password that you after you purchased it out of the box, then yes, it's hackable. And I can, that absolutely positively makes sense to me, that would not necessarily be Amazon's or slash Ring's problem unless they do not give the user the ability to change that username and password. I think they do with those cameras. But addition to that, it could be a other type of vulnerability as well as I mentioned before. But that once I looked at it again and I said, oh well, since I have a random thought, I think I'll append it because I'm pretty sure somebody's out there going to say, well, Mary, you completely forgot about default passwords, and I did not mention that. So for you out there, my random thought for today is change default passwords in everything you have and every Internet of Thing device and that you have and everything that's attached to your network. Do not use default passwords. Have a good day. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog sponsored by the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter at Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.